Hello everybody and welcome to FinTech Futures. We are here at Money 2020 Europe in Amsterdam. My name is Tyler Pate. I'm a reporter of FinTech Futures, and right now I'm very happy to be joined by IBM. Guys, how are you?
Amazing.
Fantastic. Well, in front of me here I've got Shanker Ramamurthy on my left, and then on his left we've got John Duigenan. I won't do, of course, all the talking, but maybe Shanker, if you go first, if you can give our audience a little bit of a taste of who you are and what your position is, please.
Sure. Hey, I'm Shanker Ramamurthy. I'm the Global Managing Partner for Banking and Financial Markets Consulting in IBM.
Fantastic. And if we go over to you, John?
And I'm John Duigenan, the Global Industry Leader for Financial Services in IBM Technology. Thank you for being with us, Tyler.
Thank you for having me, guys. What are you making of Money 2020 so far?
Outstanding. The excitement, just the energy is incredible. And we have been so busy up here on the balcony. Endless.
Indeed. And the mix of banks and fintechs makes for a really compelling event.
I've noticed that, a good mix from the attendees. It's really nice to see. Well, IBM, in its attendance, you've been around in the industry for so many decades. Your image has constantly been enhanced and upgraded and evolved as a financial institution, if you're sounding wood. But maybe, Shanker, maybe I can start with you. Maybe you can give us a more current picture of what IBM does.
Sure. So in IBM, like John and I in our introductions we talked about, there are two important parts to IBM, and they come together to create the right outcomes for our clients. So we got IBM Technology, and that represents the majority of IBM's revenues, and everything we do with the mainframe, all the infrastructure work, all the cloud work, all the software, that's all part of IBM Technology. IBM Consulting is the consulting arm of IBM and represents about 30% of IBM's revenues, and together we can bring the right capabilities to address our clients' needs. Now, between John and I, we represent all that we do in financial services, and financial services is a substantial part of what we do in IBM Consulting. And we have the pleasure and joy of working with the largest financial institutions around the world, solving some of their most complex problems, typically in the intersection of hybrid cloud, AI and generative AI, increasingly working with our ecosystem of partners to drive outcomes.
Fantastic. And just to pick up on that AI and generative AI, for me, at least, from what I'm seeing on the floor across these 2 days so far, is that generative AI and AI have really been leading topics across all manner of discussions. It's been fantastic to see how wide-ranging its application is. John, maybe if we go to you for this question, maybe you can give us a little bit of a glimpse or a snapshot of what the current state of Gen AI adoption among financial institutions is.
The appetite for adoption is rampant. We've just done a CEO survey where I think
we spoke to over 300 CEOs in financial services and over 2,500 CEOs across all industries.
Yes, and so the demand and the appetite is out of control. Everybody wants the benefit, and yet we're at the early stages of adoption. So there's been a lot of experimentation, and here the point we're at is helping our clients using a combination of a technology platform, a consulting approach, and well-defined use cases to help our clients, and our clients range banks, brokerages, insurance companies, fintechs, the entire ecosystem of financial services, start to create productivity, efficiency, and growth outcomes as a result of using generative AI, especially with the IBM platform, Watson X. We're looking at that across three very specific domains, Tyler. The first is customer experience. Now, firms have been working on customer experience for years, and yet those customer experiences still fall short. And so generative AI really has the potential to truly take the friction out of customer experiences in contextual recommendations, instant decisions, instant fulfillment across any channel. Then when we think about where the CFO is concerned, efficiency and productivity, almost always as a starting point, how do we use generative AI, conversational interfaces, orchestrated integrations to back-end systems to really assist knowledge workers in speeding up, simplifying, often mundane middle and back office tasks. And finally, a giant win that we're seeing is in developer productivity. IBM's clients are all using the IBM Z mainframe computer. It's been around for a long, long time. And some of the software running on that platform that our clients and our partners wrote could be 50 years old. Generative AI has the potential to understand that code in new ways and open it up for new ways of use, new intersection points, so that a bank, for example, could introduce new products using all of the code assets that they have today. That's all done with the What's the Next platform that we've been bringing to market, and our clients are seeing the benefits.
Well, the industry is very, very excited about the continued deployment of the What's Next platform, and we will be moving on to that just a little bit sooner. But what I'm really interested in, and maybe John, you can start this angle of the conversation, is when you've gone around the world, which I understand that Amsterdam 2020 is maybe the final stop of a
whirlwind tour.
Whirlwind tour across the globe. You've gone to all manner of countries, all manner of markets to speak to your clients, to speak to your customers. And I think if there's one thing to take away from your answer just now, is that this technology really does have the power and the potential to transform the financial services industry. So there's a lot of reasons why you would want to use it, right?
Yes.
But on the opposite end, you might want to embrace it, but what are the challenges of doing so?
So you're absolutely right. There is a race to value, and Shanker and I both see that. The challenging aspect of using generative AI often relates to trust and transparency. So the first question I like to ask any AI provider is, tell me how you built your model. What data sources did you use? What verification did you use around your data sources? Do you know it's free of hate speech, profanity, inaccurate information? Interestingly, Tyler, companies don't want to answer those questions. So if I'm a customer of a generative AI platform or a large language model, I'm going to be concerned right out of the box. So we've taken a very different approach to that in building the What's the Next platform and the Granite models that IBM has just open sourced. Purpose-specific foundation models, large language models, for very specific purposes like software development, business domain work. And in putting those together, we'll readily disclose everything that we did and everything that we took out to ensure that our models work the right way for an enterprise, can be trusted, can be governed. The EU AI Act, I was giving a keynote on this topic just about an hour ago, is going to mandate firms approach trust and governance in AI or face gigantic penalties. And so if you're a chief risk officer, you're going to say, this generative AI is lovely, but I need to be able to trust it. And what formal approach, not I promise you it's okay, but what formal approach can I use? What do you think, Shanker?
Yes, for sure.
I mean, it's a very broad topic, right? So John talked about the CEO study. So let me start there in terms of kind of the big picture, right? About 60% of the CEOs that we surveyed said generative AI is an important strategic weapon for them to use going forward. 60% in a technology that's been around for 18 months. So that's really compelling. Only about 50% of the CEOs were confident that they could attract the right technology talent to actually master what's required out there, right? So because this technology is so new, kind of scaling up the skill set that's required is a big challenge. So half the CEOs talked about that as a big challenge. Now the good news is 75% of them said, because that's a challenge, we know that we're going to leverage the ecosystem, right? We can't master this by ourselves. We're going to work with technology providers, exactly, team sport, technology providers, ISV vendors, consultants, global systems integrators to achieve the outcomes we need. But having said that, the challenge is You got to bring the right ecosystem together because regulators are looking at us carefully. The provenance of the data is important. Our ability to have auditability so that any decisions we make is able to be audited and we know we've made the right calls on data whose provenance we can stand behind are kind of big issues for our clients to kind of work through and think about, all at a time when the rate and pace at which exponential technology and generative AI is accelerating is actually exponential, right? So exponential technology and generative AI is the dumbest it's ever going to be today, right? And that's kind of the world we live in. I'll say as a consultant, it's a consultant's dream, right? I've never been more excited about the potential here like I am today in my 30 years in consulting. So when we bring the power of IBM What's the Next capability, plus what we can do in consulting, plus the ecosystem, together we're going to do amazing things for our clients in the rest of 2024 and going beyond.
That's really, really fantastic news to hear that your clients are having that sort of interaction with this technology. Maybe if we can tap down into that answer a little bit more. Maybe John, from the technology side, you can provide maybe some more specific use cases of where this technology has been used on the ground to a great benefit of your clients.
Absolutely. So I start with a giant bank in New York City.
Oh, yes.
Giant bank in New York City. And the other two giant banks in New York City are all interested in regulatory compliance. So think about a situation where AI has been a promise in RegTech for a very long time, and yet that promise has underperformed with previous generation AI, machine learning, deep learning. Generative AI has massively simplified the process of converting a regulation or policy into a set of obligations that a bank must do. The regulators write documents saying, you will work this way. Lawyers in banks interpret that work and then set up controls. That is a massively complex and massively expensive process. Generative AI massively, I'm using that word a lot, simplifies and accelerates that process. And so the AI helps the compliance analyst. The compliance analyst is almost always a lawyer, very expensive person, helps them to create understanding around, does the obligation defined by the bank meet the policy or the regulation, and do the controls map? That is a hugely expensive process. So that's one area. Code modernization, massive impact in terms of developer productivity. So what we've seen, Tyler, is developer productivity can improve by easily 60% using the What's the Next Code Assistant and the Granite models provided by IBM, which have been trained on billions of lines of programming language. And so we have terrific accuracy in how we can understand code and work with code. And we're working with maybe 60 banks around the world, at least, in the advanced stages of applying that technology. That's vital technology because it opens the mainframe to new use cases. And every single bank that I work with needs to do some kind of innovation and renovation to meet the fintech moment, to meet disruption, to meet the platform-based economy. And so we're active in that space, in those spaces.
And of those, 60 plus banks that you're serving, are all of them?
That's just where we're starting.
Oh, well, for now.
Yeah, seriously.
But, taking that initial group, all of their responses to Gen AI have been positive.
They can't get enough.
Oh, they're hooked.
They need it. Because the reason they need it, joking aside, they need this, right? Think about a 50-year-old core system, a system written in COBOL 50 years ago. Where are the documents? Actually, they're probably, maybe, in somebody's head. That person probably retired. The institutional knowledge is potentially serious. It's a serious risk. And so being able to use generative AI to look at code and say, the purpose of that code is to perform this business function, that is a terrific value. The other reason that value is important is because regulators expect firms to understand how their core systems work, right? It's not a negotiation here. So you have to know how your systems work. Once you know how your systems work, you can start to use them in new ways. And that is a next step of value. Because if I need to introduce a buy now, pay later function on a mainframe platform that's many years old, I need to know how to work with that code and use it in new ways.
Yeah, indeed. So about 80% of the banks around the world are already using generative AI in some capacity.
Yes.
You know, it could be pilots, it could be proof of concepts, it could be in a part of the business as opposed to across the enterprise. About 8% of the financial institutions we work with are approaching generative AI on an enterprise scale. And our expectation is, as this year transitions into next year, that 8% is going to become 80%. That's what the CEO study tells us, right? And John talked about it, the 4 broad areas in which they're going to be using generative AI. Everything to do with customers, and it could be either the customers interacting with the financial institution or an agent of the financial institution interacting with the customer, right? Everything around that interface. Everything to do with operations in the middle and back office. Everything to do with regulatory compliance, risk and regulatory compliance, a huge space that John talked about. And for the first time, truly for the first time, everything to do with the whole software development life cycle, right? Soup to nuts. Whether it be enabling programmers to understand existing code, enabling programmers to create new code, enabling people to test the code, enabling business users to really create the requirements in a way that can be consumed, enabling what we call AI ops and FinOps and Tech Ops, meaning once you put code into production, maintaining it, bug fixing it, enabling fault tolerance and resiliency of that whole infrastructure. Every aspect of that is getting infused with generative AI. The future couldn't be more exciting.
Yes.
And it's about thinking about it systemically and systematically, while ensuring you're able to address all the complexity that regulators are going to impose over the coming period of time around explainability, around auditability, and ensuring in a very litigious society that we live in, that you don't expose yourself to litigation because you're using large language models whose provenance you're not sure about or clear about, particularly when it comes to the data that is being used on to train, which is why our commitment to open, and we stand by, Granite Technology stands by what's being used to train it on. And on the consulting side, we work with Granite, but other capabilities as well. So it's quite an exciting time.
It is a very, very exciting time, and this entire conversation is sort of echoing in my head the previous conversation I had with a former banker from Bank of New York in Saudi Arabia, of all places. It was very random. But they said exactly what you've just told me is this whole COBOL issue in banking, which is like, oh yeah, it's, people who know how to do this are leaving and they're retiring.
They're retiring.
And it's become an issue, and it's been really interesting to see how the technology is responding to that issue.
Yeah. And so when we can use generative AI to understand COBOL, that means that we can take a 22-year-old developer and start to bring them into that ecosystem and help them to learn, right? But any age of person, frankly. But when we think about people in the early stages of their career, we can help them come into that world. The world of the mainframe core system is crucial to our clients. It runs their transaction processing, and they still want to use it because of the security, reliability, and availability, and just the stability of that platform. And so being able to use that platform in new ways is crucially important, and it's a high value opportunity.
Well, let's move the conversation on to what's next, and your new enterprise AI platform launched last year, I believe.
Yes.
Are there any particular features initially in that platform that are resonating with financial institutions?
Yes, across the board. So there's 3 parts to What's the Next. Very simply, an AI studio called What's the Next.ai. The AI studio is used to train, test, and deploy both conventional machine learning and generative models. And so, development environment. Data, which is an open data lakehouse, that can run anywhere clients want. It is used to store data that trains models. And last, and in many respects, very, very crucially important, Governance. Governance happens to work with any AI platform and can govern any AI platform, including IBM's. But Governance, for example, we announced an integration with AWS SageMaker just last week. So because governance also needs to be a team sport, and IBM has a massive track record in the governance space around being able to help clients across the entire life cycle of governance, of which AI is just one part. And so when we think about the three pieces of what's the next, it's the studio, the data lakehouse, and the governance component. I think that there are reasons why what's the next resonates in financial services. It's an open platform. It's designed to deploy anywhere. So IBM doesn't say, you must come to our cloud, you must use only our models. No, we deploy what's the next anywhere a client wants, using any model a client wants, because this is a multi-model world, as Shanker said, multi-model. And then I think the governance piece for financial services, we're just at the beginning of understanding why that is going to be so crucial. The EU AI Act will bring stringent penalties for those who are not governing their processes correctly. And so delivering real business outcomes and doing that with trust, transparency, and compliance is what matters in financial services. We're not painting pictures, we're not writing songs or poems, we're solving business problems. Those are fun things. They're not what we're doing.
In terms of, since the initial launch of the platform, have you sought to enhance any of those three areas?
Oh, we are constantly introducing new features. And so when constantly assessing how we deliver capabilities and features into the marketplace, it is a process of continuous innovation.
And the most recent of those is what we call a capability that we call Instruct Lab that enables large language models to be naturally extended without too much complexity. And the reality of the world we live in is you're going to come up with a model, and then each client, each bank is going to want to extend it based on their unique needs. And how do you do that in a way that enables open innovation? That's what that particular tool is kind of designed for. Why? The banking model is going to fundamentally change within the next 5 years. Today's pyramid, where a third of what banks do are focused on customers and platforms and ecosystem, with 2/3 focused on the middle and back office, that's going to shift upside down, where extreme digitization, automation, and generative AI is going to take the middle and back office using generative AI and hybrid cloud and digitize most of it, so that 2/3 of the focus can be where it really matters, on customers, markets, platforms, and ecosystems. And in that journey, virtually every line of software code that a bank has is going to be rewritten, componentized, and optimized for this hybrid cloud generative AI world of tomorrow. And we're going to help our clients using IBM tools and third-party tools as they look at the mainframe and optimize it for what it is best suited to do, and kind of re-architect technology that's been around for 20, 30, 40 years to enable banks to succeed in this new world of tomorrow. Exciting times ahead.
Yeah, and the whole point of having that platform is it's a layered approach, Tyler. We can, on top of the What's the Next platform, we can build assistants. There are open SDKs and APIs. And so anyone in our ecosystem can build on capabilities on top of What's the Next. And that's why it's very exciting, because this is not something we need to control. This is something we need to enable, right? And the imagination of our ecosystem of developers inside and outside IBM. We don't know, we can't imagine yet what the full potential of that's going to be.
It's a very exciting time for the industry, absolutely. And maybe by means of conclusion, we can take a closer look at this world of tomorrow that we all hope to achieve. In that frame of mind, what I'd really like to ask you is, within the next sort of 6 to 12 months, what can we expect from the rate of generative AI adoption within financial institutions? Shanker, should I start with you?
Yeah, so from a business model standpoint, what it's going to force everyone to do is not just look at transformation outside in, which has been the way many banks have approached it, meaning because I got so much complexity internally, let me use simple interfaces, what we call APIs, to mask the complexity in the middle and back office and open up the front office, the way I interact with my customers, whether it be on the web or mobile phones and alternate technologies, what we think of as outside-in innovation. That used to be okay until yesterday. Today, tomorrow, you got to do outside-in and inside-out innovation, where you look at your middle and back office and re-architect it, make it nimble and flexible to address the needs of the market. And so that transition is going to accelerate over the next year or so, and that's a fun time.
It is very fun. I hope that we have an opportunity to catch up in a year or two time to reflect on that journey. John, what about you for closing comments?
Very simply, just to sort of put the bow around some things that we've both been saying. Experimentation is moving into production, hardening and production. Production results in KPI outcomes and value. And so we're moving from a process of experimentation into a process of production. That's a wonderful place to be because that's the point at which our clients will experience value. The balance here, and it's a good and a challenging thing, is we're going to have learnings. The learnings are going to be great because they become experiences we can all use and share across a massive community. The downside is going to be we'll also have learnings that are complex, and the whole industry across every provider is going through learnings that are incredibly challenging. Some of the opaque large language models seem to misbehave under certain situations, and they are out in the wild. And so opportunity and learnings. And of course, the governance challenge is only going to accelerate.
Brilliant. Well, let's close it there. Shanker,
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you so much.
Thank you to everybody who's followed this conversation online. It's been a fantastic conversation here with IBM. If you'd like to find out more about generative AI or the many other AI models that are currently deployed across the market, or you'd like to hear more about IBM's initiative or Money 2020 Europe at large, please head over to our website at fintechfeatures.com. Otherwise, I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you.